Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of The Truth About B2B Sales. I'm Richard Walton. I'm joined by my brother, Henry Walton. Today, we're going to be talking about cold is cold. Henry, what does that mean to you?
For me, cold is, I think like most people, it's going and checking my LinkedIn inbox and seeing a message from someone. Perhaps I connect with them and I think, okay, at first sight, they look kind of interesting. It's in the right area. And then they send me a message that says, hey, I do X for X. Do you want to have a meeting? And I ignore
Yeah.
it. Sometimes I block them. Sometimes if it's really bad, I write back to them and I actually call them out on it. But that's cool. And it could be a event invite, it could be anything. But I have no idea who this person is, and suddenly they're kind of, in my inbox trying to push something to me.
Yeah. So for me, what you said, I don't know who this person is the thing that underlines for me the kind of phrase cold is cold. I think one of the biggest mistakes that we see in B2B sales is people thinking that if the tactic to reach out to people is good and non-salesy, as in, hey, do you want to be on my podcast? Hey, I'd love to invite you to an in-person paddle game. We'd love to invite you to our company's social picnic, whatever it may be. You think that the tactic is great. It could be in person. It could be warm. It could be perfect ICP fit. But if they don't know who you are, cold is cold. And I think that's one of the biggest things that I've seen is that, everyone's kind of on board now that a cold email, cold LinkedIn doesn't work, but they're thinking, oh, well, let's just create amazing tactics and then we can still reach out in a cold manner.
I think that's 100% the key point, because sometimes there's a temptation to design an amazing event and you think, well, the event is so good that surely this is fine. This gets beyond the exception. But it's interesting to see what happens in someone's LinkedIn inbox when they don't reply and you've sent them one cold invite. And then what do you do next time? Oh, okay. You think, oh, I'm gonna try once more. Maybe they didn't get the next one. So then it's two cold invites. And then maybe we'll try a third time. And then suddenly you realize in LinkedIn it's the clearest thing ever, because you see the chain. It's actually, you're just in spam territory. It's just a series of messages without reply. And it doesn't matter, I don't think, most of the time, how good that event is. Then yeah, you're just spamming. It's the same. People just tune it out.
So what are the solutions? So we've got 2 minutes left. We're going to try and give you some solutions to this. So at Outsell, we're big proponents of what we call engaged prospects. So a prospect is someone on your list that you want to target. An engaged prospect is someone that knows who you are, that is more likely to respond to a tactic like an invite to a podcast, a happy hour, whatever it may be. So the real question then is, how do you turn someone from a prospect to an engaged prospect? As you said, Henry, someone who knows who you are, who's going to be more likely to respond. By the way, we have data that supports that engaged prospects, some people who know you are about 87 times more likely to respond to an invite to a podcast, happy hour, whatever it may be. So it is well worth spending some time and effort thinking about how do you turn a prospect to engaged prospect. Henry,
I'll give you my favorite example, and I think this is the one where our clients, it's the aha moment, and it's to do with IRL, right? So in real life, in person, and they go to a conference and they are wandering around. They're probably unsure about what to say to people. They're a little bit nervous and they're trying not to sell. But they go and meet people and they have a chat. And once they meet people face to face and they shake them by the hand, they're then able to go, okay, by the way, in 2 weeks' time, I'm doing this event. Can I send you an invite? And normally 9 out of 10 people say yes. And they say, that sounds great. It's not cold, right? It's so simple. It's such a small, simple thing, but you've actually met them in person. You're standing there shaking their hand. It's the simplest thing. So I think I really like that example because it often solves two things. It's actually, what do you say to people at conferences? How do you follow up with people at conferences? So that's a great one. Another one, I mean, is just is content and engaging with relevant content being part of conversations. I think that's a fairly a fairly obvious one. But when you're strategic and you're targeted about who you're engaging with, after a while of doing that, then I think that's not cold. Especially if you're engaging in a conversation and they're replying and you're having a little bit of back and forth around some topic, then yeah, that's not cold. So those are two that stand out. I think the other, obviously, probably the most important one is leveraging networks, and warm intros is obviously key as well.
Yeah, cool. Thanks. Cool. Thanks, everyone. Hope you got some value out of today's session. We'll be sharing more shortly.